we're going to start our workbook correction unit 2, okay? Unit 2 starts on page 24. We're going to correct exercise 1 to exercise 6. Some of these exercises I asked you guys to send me pictures or leave the papers at the reception. But I'm gonna explain all the exercises, including the ones I asked in separate papers, okay? Exercise 1 is a review for a theater play written by William Shakespeare. The review is called Romeo and Juliet Brought to Life by the Golden Gate Theatre Company. So we have a bunch of questions. There's a text, the review, and then a bunch of questions. Let's go. Answer the questions about the text you have just read. You must write complete sentences. So number 1 was, what was the name of the previous production at the Golden Gate Theatre? So the Golden Gate was presenting Romeo and Juliet, but previously they presented Hamlet, okay? So the name of the production is Hamlet. The previous production is Hamlet, also by William Shakespeare. Number 2, what type of set will the theatre production create for the performance of the traditional Shakespearean play? The theatre will be like an Italian city from the 15th century. So they mention in the first paragraph that the Golden Gate Theatre will have been transformed by the end of the week into a historic 15th century Italian city, okay, to help create the magic atmosphere of those watching, okay? Number 3, where will the audience be sat? Why do you think the director chose this format? The audience will be sat around the stage. The director chose this format so the spectators can feel more included in the action, okay? So instead of sitting in front of the stage here, opposite to the stage, they're going to be sitting around the stage so they can feel like they can experience the play in all the angles possible. Number 4, is this the first time that the director has presented a Shakespearean play to the public? No, the director, whose name is Mark, has already brought Shakespeare's plays to life more than 5 times before. Number 5, what are the names of the 2 principal families? What situation do we find the 2 in when the play starts? The families are the Montagues and the Capulets. They are at war and they just had another fight. This is something that a lot of people know about Romeo and Juliet. Is the story of 2 families who are enemies and 2 young people who theoretically have to be enemies, who fall in love with each other, contrary to what their family wanted for them. Number 6, how does Romeo meet Juliet? Why is it a problem that they like each other? They meet at a party at the Capulet's house and they kiss. Romeo isn't supposed to be there. He goes there to look for another woman that he had a crush on, and he meets Juliet and he falls in love with her. They could not like each other because their families are enemies, and as I said, Romeo wasn't even supposed to be there. How do Romeo and Juliet get married? Who helps them? They get married in secret with the help of Juliet's nurse and the religious leader, Friar Lawrence. Friar Lawrence has a really important role in the romance between Romeo and Juliet. Who kills the character of Mercutio? What is Romeo's reaction? So Juliet's cousin Tybalt kills Mercutio. So since he was Romeo's best friend, Romeo's reaction is to kill Tybalt, which leads to a really large, big confusion of epic proportions, to be honest. Number 9, who bans Romeo from the city of Verona? Why? The prince of the city bans Romeo from the city because of what he did. He shouldn't have killed Tybalt, although Tybalt was also wrong in killing Mercutio, but these are political details we know nothing about. Number 10, what does Friar Lawrence give to Juliet? What is the purpose? He gives her a potion to make her seem dead, so she doesn't have to marry Paris, someone her father wanted her to marry. She was in love with Romeo, but because they were enemies, they couldn't get married. She refused to marry Paris, so Friar Lawrence decides to help her. and gives her the potion so she can be asleep and look dead. Okay? What does Friar Lawrence give to Juliet? This is the potion. Number 11. How does Juliet try to tell Romeo of her plan? Does it work? She tells Friar Lawrence to take a message to him to let him know that she's not really dead, she's just pretending to be dead. But it doesn't work out, the message never gets to him. Everything he ever hears is that she's dead and that she's going to be buried and stuff like that. So he becomes very sad and believes she's dead. It does not work, obviously. Number 12. What is the consequence of Romeo not receiving Juliet's letter? So because he doesn't receive the letter telling him that she's alive and pretending to be dead so they can escape together, he thinks she's dead and takes some poison to kill himself, as he could not live without her. This completely destroys her plans because she thought they could run away together. Number 13. What does Juliet do when she wakes up from the magic potion? So she sees that Romeo is dead because there's this very popular scene where he goes to the chapel where she's laying and he takes the poison and says, I cannot live without you, and all the poetic stuff that Shakespeare can do that I cannot even try to imitate. And she wakes up. The potion she took wears off. She wakes up, sees that he's dead, and becomes very sad, and decides to kill herself with his knife. So she takes his knife and kills herself. Did the author of this review enjoy the play? What was one of his favorite scenes? The author compliments the play greatly, so you can see he clearly enjoyed the play. The scene he mentions to be most thrilling was the scene where Tybalt kills Mercutio, Romeo's friend. So we can kind of understand it's one of his favorite scenes. Number 15. This is for you guys to answer. Do you think you would enjoy watching this play? Why? Why not? Personally, I really love Shakespeare's plays, but for me, Romeo and Juliet isn't the best. And I believe there are other plays I would enjoy more. But of course, this is for you guys. Would you enjoy it? Why or why not? It's raining. Exercise 2. Fill in the gaps using the words from the box below. You may need to change the word to fit the sentence. So number 1, he called her at the weekend to tell her some comforting words as her mother was ill. 2, she was organizing the baptism of her son and needed to make a list of who she would invite. 3, they had been working so hard that they felt completely burned out. 4, will they have felt any satisfaction from this project by the time they finish it? 5, what type of imagery comes to mind when you read this poem? 6, the film's description didn't include information about it being a very violent film, and this made me angry. 7, the priest has blessed the children at Christmas for more than 20 years now, and will continue doing it until he retires in 3 years' time. 8, the grandmother looked at the photographs that she cherished so much, and a tear fell down from her face as she remembered the good old days. 9, the groom called off the wedding after he snooped on his fiancée's phone and found messages from her ex-boyfriend. 10, the newspaper described the woman as a modern-day heroine because she had helped save the children from the fire. Okay, guys? Then we have 11. His voice was so calming as he narrated the bedtime story on the radio. 12. Students will be apprehensive before most exams, but if they study, they will manage to achieve good grades. So exercise 2, comforting, baptism, burnt out, satisfaction, imagery, description, blessed, cherished, called off, heroine, narrated, be apprehensive. Okay, guys? Then we have exercise 3, which is a review. It's a writing activity. So, what's the task? You're going to write a restaurant review. Use the plan below and the example text to help you. Então, para explicar em português para vocês, para garantir que não tenham nenhuma dúvida. Vamos escrever uma crítica de um restaurante, ok? Então tem essa tabelinha aqui, que eu quero foto dela também, mostrando o que é para você fazer na introduction, paragraph 1, paragraph 2, paragraph 3 e conclusion. A introduction é introduzir qual é o restaurante para chamar a atenção do leitor. Parágrafo 1 bota informação de diferente tipo de comida, qual é o preço, qual é a informação para contatar o restaurante, que horas estão abertos, onde é que eles são localizados. Fala um pouco sobre quais são os clientes que mais vão gostar desse restaurante. Parágrafo 2. Algumas áreas que você pode falar são a limpeza do lugar, como é que é o design de interior e exterior, a atmosfera, o serviço. E o 3, vocês podem falar value for money and food quality, ou seja, o que você paga, a qualidade da comida compensa ou não compensa. E a conclusion é você fazer uma conclusão das suas ideias e terminar o texto assim mesmo, ok? Na página seguinte tem um exemplo, The Flight House Restaurant, You Will Be Flying High for Dinner. Tem um exemplo de um texto seguindo essa mesma estrutura, ok? Então, leiam esse texto antes de fazer o texto de vocês. Lembrem o que eu sempre falo. Escreve o texto, toma um café, um chocolate quente, come um sanduíche, depois volta a ler de novo. Porque sempre a gente acaba fazendo uns errinhos que a gente não percebe na hora. Ok, pessoal? Exercise 4 is to make questions for the answers below. Number 1. Yes, I would feel apprehensive if I needed to understand specific terminology about science in English. The question would be, would you feel apprehensive if you needed to understand specific terminology about science in English? Number 2. Some therapeutic forms of treatment for stress are yoga and listening to classical music. What are some therapeutic forms of treatment for stress? 3. I prefer to put Parmesan cheese on top of my pasta. What do you prefer to put on top of your pasta? 4. The animal will not receive the poacher's presents as long as he uses camouflage. Will the animal perceive the poacher's presence? And how will the animal not perceive the poacher's presence, okay? Because the animal will not perceive the poacher's presence if he is wearing camouflage. Number 5. The cast will have been waiting in the backstage for 15 minutes by the time the show starts. How long will the cast have been waiting backstage? Okay? Number 6. He will have learned lots of figures of speech in English when he finishes this course. What will he have learned when he finishes this course? Number 7. They couldn't baptize their son because the priest was not at church all day. Why couldn't they baptize their son? 8. She will have worked as a barmaid for 3 years when she starts working as a flight attendant. How long will she have worked as a barmaid when she starts working as a flight attendant? Number 9. She seems to be bossy because her husband is not a very organized person. Why does she seem bossy? 10. He makes her feel angry when he acts in a childish and futile way. How does she feel when he acts in a childish and futile way? 11. The trainee will have been an enormous disappointment for his boss if he doesn't finish this job on time. What will happen if the trainee doesn't finish his job on time? 12. If a pipe bursts in my house, I would call out a plumber, not a housekeeper. Would you call out a plumber or a housekeeper if a pipe bursts in your house? Number 13. She asked her sister-in-law to be her son's godmother. Who did she ask to be her son's godmother? 14. The actors will have to collaborate and improvise in the show so it isn't a disaster. What will the actors have to do in the show so it isn't a disaster? 15. She has been feeling very confident with the procedures she will do as a part of her treatment. What has she been feeling confident about? Okay, so what has she been feeling confident about? Or you could also say, how has she been feeling with the procedure she'll do, okay? But you could write, what has she been feeling confident about? Exercise 5. Find the mistakes in the sentences below and write the corrections. So, number 1, the mistake is dress. It's going to be dressing, okay guys? Dressing. Number 2 is cocos. It's going to be coconuts. Coconuts. Number 3, cinnamon is written wrong. It's cinnamon. Okay, guys? Number 4 is correct. Number 5, the mistake is in camouflage. Okay, it's camouflage here. There you go, camouflage. Number 6, playing an musical instrument is going to be playing a musical instrument. Okay? Number 7, presents is written wrong. It's like this. Presents. It's not an S at the end, it's a C, okay? Sorry, I wrote it wrong here again. Presents, okay? Number 8, seashore is together, it's not separate, it's not apart. Number 9, script is like this. Script. And number 10 is correct. Number 11, instead of applaud, it's going to be applauded, ed at the end. 12, copyright is like this. Copyright. Number 13, I wanted to tell you to break a leg, not the leg. 14, fable is like this. Fable. In number 15, it's my brother-in-law, not my brother-on-law. Okay, guys? Exercise 6. You have to complete the table with the verbs to chose in the future perfect continuous tense. This one, you guys are going to take a picture and send it to me, okay? Because there's no point in us repeating it. Just complete the table and send me a picture. Okay, guys? So, this is it for today. See you next class.